It is 7:04, and I am calling this meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Trustee Mahan,
Here.
Trustee March,
Here.
Trustee DeBelli,
Here.
Mayor Price,
She's excused.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
He's excused.
Trustee Padilla.
Here.
Trustee March, you have that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Could I get everyone to please stand, remove your hats if you're wearing them, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Let's see. We need to do an approval of the agenda.
No changes to the agenda.
Nothing? All right. Thank you. Do we have any special presentations? Whoa, all blank. Well, we have no one signed up for public comment. So we'll just skip right along here and go into our staff reports. Brian, you're up.
Yes, trustees. I wanted to just take a few minutes to have engineering. Jason, I think, is going to come up and just give you a quick update on what's going on with the construction at Belarus and Colorado Boulevard.
Great.
Hello. Obviously construction is progressing. Right now they're getting ready to pour the deck on the Colorado portion of the culvert. So that should be at a point in the next few weeks where traffic will shift over to do the other half. At Belarus Parkway, we are experiencing some utility issues. We've determined that there are some gas lines that nobody is claiming in the area. So we're working to determine whose they are and if they are truly abandoned. With that, there's been a little bit of delay there at the Belarosa crossing. With that, we're kind of adjusting some of the progression of construction. So we're going to move ahead to work on some of the road items that will impact the West Conservation Drive and eastern part of Belarosa between the current closure and Colorado. So currently there's a detour in place, obviously, probably have heard about. That originally was supposed to last through the beginning part of July. It's going to move up to become a full closure here in the next few weeks as they begin some of that associated road work while they're working on utility relocation or determination of who has the utilities that need to be relocated.
Cool. It sounds to me like they're on track to be on time finishing this thing up.
Yeah, they're currently on schedule for the overall project. Obviously, the Belarosa portion is a couple weeks behind as we work to determine the utilities that are in conflict, as well as an item that's on your agenda tonight with the relocation of the Central World Water Line.
Yeah.
So we have them scheduled to begin work as well.
Okay, great. Super.
What is going on with coming here tonight? I saw a sign that said the 17th, total closure the 17th. Is that closure you're talking about?
Correct, yeah. So originally that closure was scheduled for the beginning of July. With the delay that we have with the actual culvert work, we're going to move up the associated road work that was scheduled to begin at. So that detour through No Name will end next Monday.
And the effort to do that is to make sure that we don't sit and wait to identify whose
Correct.
6-inch line this is.
Yeah,
to progress on the rest of the project.
I received several comments about the delay in not seeing anybody working on it. Also, last week I received a comment or a text from the fire department. You may not be able to answer this, but there was a gas leak. Is that
Correct. Yeah, the contractor hit Black Hills gas line in the area of work. Given how it was installed, even Black Hills wasn't surprised it got hit. It was going down at about a 45-degree angle. So where they potholed it, it was 9 feet deep, but where they hit it was 4 feet deep, and that was over a span of 15 feet. There was a 5-foot elevation difference. So
That didn't cause any problems for that neighborhood, or
no, it was fixed same day within a matter of hours.
Right. Well, thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? It's a important part of our improvements is moving right along. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and trustees also note that we continue, the communications team is doing a great job in teamwork with engineering, getting all of this information out on Nextdoor, social media, and also responding to those questions that come out. You know, in addition to that, our PD has worked really tirelessly to have a presence out there. We do have vehicles and officers out there sitting regularly. In addition to that, the slow signs as well as the 2-speed trailers. So we recognize and understand the inconvenience this has brought to the neighborhood, but we're also doing everything we can to try to mitigate it the best way we can.
Well, it's kind of, goes along with the old saying, you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. So it's, they want their streets fixed, and we've got to do what we've got to do. So great.
I forgot to mention about the signs. I thought that was a great idea. Watch your speed sign. Was it about every 2 houses or 2 lots? It's all the way along up. I thought it was a good idea.
All right. Anybody have any other comments or questions for Brian's administrative report? If not, we will just move right on into our consent agenda. Do we have any comments or questions or opinions or whatever? I don't see anything. The easement to Central Weld County Water Districts.
If you'd like a hair of background on that
Yes.
easement, so an effort to make sure that we're keeping task and on time with that project, we decided to allow Central Weld to relocate their line into where this easement area would be. This is kind of a cleanup item to make sure that we can get that done, because the timeline it took to get that negotiated was different than the timeline of the construction project. So we wanted to make sure that we were being as quick as possible and not causing further delay to this project. And so that's why you're seeing this as a cleanup issue. But we felt comfortable that it was being located into an area that we controlled, being able to grant that easement on the back end.
Okay. Anybody have any comments or questions on that? If not, we need some direction for the consent agenda, please.
Trustee March, I move that we approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
All right.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
trustee March,
Yes.
trustee DeValdi,
Yes.
trustee Lamont,
Yep.
trustee Padilla.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. We'll just slide right along here and go into our action agenda. The first item is a water treatment feasibility study. And we need Kylie up here, please. Good evening, Kylie.
Good evening. Good evening, trustees. I am here to talk about the water treatment feasibility study contract award this evening. I have some representation from our selected consultant team here as well, Patrick O'Brien and Acacia Ortiz, in case the board has any more specific questions about what the study will
Bless you.
entail. Bless you. A water treatment feasibility study is in line with our strategic plan goal of strategic, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure, in that it is called out in our long-term water resources plan. Before I dig into the water treatment feasibility study itself, I'm going to do a high-level overview of a lot of the water-related work the engineering team has been doing. And the work we do falls loosely under 3 categories: water infrastructure, water supplies, and town code. Our ongoing study, one of our ongoing studies, the water rate study, will help support the water infrastructure improvements that need to be made in our water supply planning efforts. Really, our water infrastructure plans fall under 2 categories: our raw water master plan, which is ongoing, and our potable water master plan, which was adopted not too long ago. And these plans call out capital improvement projects that need to be made to those 2 different water systems. As far as water supply planning goes, we have 3 plans that touch on our water supplies. The first is our 10-year water resources plan. And this plan, 2 of the things this plan encompasses are water conservation efforts that we're planning will be made, and CBT purchase over the next 10 years. Our long-term water resources plan discusses our water supplies over the next 50 years. This calls out 4 different water supplies the town will be utilizing, including NISP, Windy Gap, Lower Boulder, and CBT. It also calls out the need for 2 additional plans: this water treatment feasibility study, which we're discussing tonight, and a water reuse plan, which Sarah is working on securing grant funding to accomplish. And lastly, we have our water efficiency plan. This outlines different water conservation requirements the town is working on incorporating into our code, and conservation and efficiency programs that are ongoing. And associated with kind of all of our water supply stuff is our water shortage contingency plan. We're currently working on an update to that in-house. I got a $10,000 technical assistance grant that we're also using to accomplish that update through our on-call engineering services. And last but not least, our town code, which helps support all of our water infrastructure and water supply plans. We've recently come to you with an update to our municipal code, and we're working on updates to our design standards and our landscape code to help support water conservation. So I wanted to give all of you a look at the full picture. It's kind of busy, but we've done a lot of work in the last few years, and we're going to be wrapping up some of these last planning efforts moving forward. And what you'll be seeing more often than not is just updates to some of these plans every 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. So we're done with the municipal code now, Jason? Totally?
Just the water
Right,
section.
in terms of just the touches of when it comes to water allocation and
Okay.
kind of the water efficiency pieces, there is still some of those discussions about that we'll be doing through the community outreach in terms of water scheduling and water conservation issues and whether or not landscape architects should be required. Those are still kind of out there, but the bulk of the water allocation process and things, those have been updated.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Rest of
did.
the whole
I got
codes.
kind of excited there at the check
I'm
there.
sorry.
The whole municipal code is done?
Yeah, the asterisks with the
Yeah,
footnote.
water-related municipal code. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you under
Darn.
the bus there, Jason.
All right. Well, that's super. Okay, cool.
So as I mentioned, the water treatment feasibility study is called out in our long-term water resources plan, and we have these 4 water supplies that are identified as part of our 50-year plan, including Windy Gap, CBT, NISP, and Lower Boulder. And the Lower Boulder water is the water that would be treated by a local treatment facility. In order to make that a reality, as I mentioned, we need to complete this water treatment feasibility study. Sarah's been working on a change case for our Lower Boulder water shares so that we're able to use that water for potable use in all areas in town. And we're also working on a direct use water supply designation for Millivac Lake, which is necessary in order to treat that water as well. And just to give a little perspective, based on a number of assumptions we've made as part of our long-term water supply plan, by the year 2075, our Lower Boulder water will make up approximately 1/5 of our water supplies at that time. So it's not an insignificant amount of water that we're looking at being treated. So, in our long term, well, the reason we're approaching this now instead of later is in our long term water resources plan, we state that local treatment may be necessary as early as 2034, really depending on when NISP delivers water to the town. So, we're doing this now so that we can be prepared if that is, in fact, what we need to do. As I've also mentioned, this plan identifies the need for this water treatment feasibility study, and this will lay the groundwork for the eventual construction of a treatment plant. In this plan, we also identify that the local treatment is expected to provide 1,500 acre feet of water per year, which translates to roughly maybe providing water to 2,500 homes a year. So, what will this water treatment feasibility study provide us? It is the first step in providing Frederick with local water treatment, and it will include raw water quality management plan, potential water treatment trains. It'll tell us what the capacity of the treatment plant will be, as well as give us some conceptual site plans and a footprint for the facility. We'll discuss permitting for it, an opinion of probable cost, and also some funding opportunities we might utilize when it comes to the actual design and construction of the facility.
Back up.
Selected, yes?
Back up to that previous.
Yeah.
Potential water treatment trains. What do you mean by that? Is that training or?
That's an excellent question. I think that's kind of a technical term that people in the industry use. It just means what kind of water treatment technologies we'll employ as a part of our local treatment facility based on the water quality in Millebeck Lake.
Okay.
So we're going to investigate that water quality and then determine what kinds
Gotcha.
of treatment we need to do to make
Okay.
it potable.
You said it would provide 2,500 or 1,500?
So approximately, and this is again based on some assumptions, but about 1,500 acre feet of water per year, which translates to water for about 2,500 homes.
How many homes do we have right now in our?
That is not a question I know the answer to off the top of my head. I apologize. Does anyone know how many homes are here?
It's 5,000 plus. Yeah.
So like 5,800, somewhere around there, I think.
Yeah. Does that include just this side of I-25? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we have about 4,800 water accounts. Yeah.
Okay.
Our selected consultant is Plummer Engineering. As you can see, we get a wide range of expertise who are going to help, people who are going to help contribute to the creation of this study, including engineers who have worked on many different similar projects to this, as well as a water chemist who's going to help with that Millebeck water quality piece. Project timeline-wise, we're slated to be wrapping this up in the first quarter of 2025 currently, and we'll be coming to the board with updates intermittently. We've scheduled to have 2 board meetings and a couple work sessions to talk about this project. The cost of the water treatment feasibility study came in at $176,450. And we budgeted $200,000 for water studies for 2024. So this comes in within that budget.
Actually pretty good. Nice.
Staff recommendation is to approve the resolution 24R36, which would approve our contract for this study. Does the board have any questions?
So if the plant goes in, there is a benefit because we're not having to pay Central to treat the water. Because they're already treating some of our water, right? That's what our raise in our rates were, correct?
Currently, Central Well serves all of this side of Frederick.
Mhm.
Left hand is on the other side of
Right,
I-25.
because I don't have that, but
Right.
I remember the increase in water costs, and that was due to the increase in treatment costs, which that would put into our own control.
And it also goes back to, I think when we presented the water master plan, that was a question the board asked, what would it take if we get 30 years down the road to not be so reliant on one entity to treat our water? So this, yeah, it will help answer.
And then the only other question is, we're doing this. How long? Are we gonna have to do it again before we'd actually build one? I mean, are we way early in the game here, or?
Well,
Must
if
feel not if we're proposing to do it.
if we do in fact need to have local treatment by 2034, if that's what the situation turns out to be, I think we're kind of right on time with this because we will need to also actually construct the facility, which will take some time as
I
well.
guess you're just going off of what's in Millivac, which isn't gonna change probably a whole lot.
I mean, hopefully into the future, the water quality will improve in Millivac Lake.
That's kind of our goal, right?
And part of that, taking a step back with regards to the change case that's currently ongoing, and part of the process with the state to have Millivac designated as a potential treatable source, would require us to make some filings with the state that do that designation, which it takes 5 or 6 years to go through that process. So we want to make sure that it's one feasible, to something that we might want to do before we get too far down one of these cart paths.
Do they look at infrastructure? I mean, is that gonna come out of this a little bit? That
Yeah, please.
So I'm sorry.
I'm just curious, not
Any
questioning.
question?
Well, is there a portion of this that would include the infrastructure? Meaning, like,
The pipelines?
okay, we're gonna put the treatment plant here, but we don't have a pipe to get it to where it is, or we don't have a pipe to tie this into this and that. And, I mean, I don't know our system, but I'm sure it's quite complex.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to realize how much other, infrastructure items are gonna need to be added when we get a cost of what the treatment plant would be.
Sure. No, that's that's a good question. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit on the conversation you had before. So the 10 years that you're out right now is, like you had said, is about if you end up needing it. It does take about from the time we have this conversation right now to actually having a plant constructed and online is about 10 years. So you are right on time on that. As it relates to your question, the infrastructure associated with the distribution system, there will need to be a little bit of an evaluation associated with it. As it relates to what we're doing in our project, I don't think we're doing that to a very large level. But the other piece to consider that is very important is the central welled water that you're getting right now is the treatment process that we're looking at. The treatment train, so the question that you were asking about before, Trustee, was a train that's going to allow the water quality that we produce is going to be able to be very similar to what's inside of your distribution system right now, so that your customers won't see a difference. Okay, so that's really the more of those two questions. That's the one that we're finding to be more important right now, is to make sure we do that.
And that's what this is mostly for.
Correct.
And again, I just want to know how far it goes to make sure we don't have a big giant gap when we approve money for a thing and then don't have a way to get water around.
Right.
My understanding is that we would be blending this water with
Yes.
our central welled water,
Right.
and it would enter the distribution system together. So we aren't
Mhm.
creating any sort of new network of pipes or anything.
Right.
I have a question on this. When you bring up the infrastructure, it obviously also includes the pipes, piping. Do we have any idea the age of the water pipes that Central Well runs their water to us in? I mean, they've been around for a long time, and I'm just curious as to how old they're starting to get. Have we done anything on that, looking at that?
I think that would depend on the age of the subdivision. I mean, if we're talking about pipes of theirs that are connecting to our system in town, I'm not sure how old their pipes are further out, closer to their facility. I don't know if you have any idea of that, Kevin.
a little party up here.
Yeah.
Who else can we?
Hey, Kev.
How's the Park and Recs pipe? Can you come up and talk about that?
Yeah, come on, get them all up here.
So the way Central Weld works is they have their infrastructure that surrounds the town.
Yep.
They've got their master meters strategically placed, and off of those master meters, we run off of our infrastructure from there. Now, the age of their pipe, the quality, we don't really get reports on that. I guess there's a sort of an understanding that they take care of their system to the level that they're required to do.
Mhm.
And after the master meter, we do the same thing internally. We do check the master meters. We've had work with their operations staff to understand that they are, tested regularly, that they provide the right level of data that they're supposed to, and we're working with them to make sure we're understanding how their system operates, so that when we tie in, we know we're in a good place. But I can't tell you today what the age of their water lines are and if they're needing to be repaired or not. That's just not something we get that level of detail on.
I'm just thinking about, we had trouble with water lines here. I mean, you live down in downtown area and stuff, and you start talking about water mains that fail, and then you're really talking about a mess on your hands. And I'm just wondering if there is a standard for the age of a pipe. I don't know anything about, I know about sewer lines, but the water pipes, no.
Yeah, and there are, right? If they've got ductile iron pipe, it's got a 50-year lifespan. If they've got PVC in places, that'll have another, level of longevity that's associated with it. Whether they're putting the right dollars in upgrading and keeping their system current and their lines where they should be, I don't know that I know that today. So
I wonder if that's something that we should, in your professional opinion, is that something maybe we should look at to get an evaluation of their water lines and what shape they're in, how old they are, the test
I think
results.
that's pretty prudent, and I don't think it'd be hard to just ask Stan Linker, their manager at Central Weld, if he could supply us with some data that shows their system, their inventory, when it's serviced, whatever they have. I think that as a customer from them, I think we should get that level of detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
As
Great.
far as water losses go, though, if they have leaks before it hits our meters, it's their financial loss, not
Yeah.
ours. So as long as we're maintaining our infrastructure and making sure there's as few leaks as possible in our infrastructure as there possibly can be, we're doing our due diligence financially, and that's money out their pocket on their end if there are leaks.
Yeah, but when you have a water leak, I've been involved with some of them down there in Denver. When you have water leaks, people don't care if it's our water line or their water line or Santa Claus's water line. They just care that they've got water flowing down their street that looks like the river, and their basement is filling up. And so, I just am thinking about whether or not it wouldn't be a prudent idea to find out if we may be looking at something in the future that we may have to address, even if it isn't our problem. We would end up getting called out there on a water line break. So
Yeah, and I think Kylie identified the several areas of water planning that we're looking at, and one of the reasons we're doing that is maybe we're not just self-reliant on Central Weld all the time. We've got other areas, other sources that we can look to, and if their pipe inventory isn't at a level it's good with, we've got another avenue at some point that maybe we can use, and that's a good thing.
yeah, well, that's just a general kind of a question. It just kind of run by myself. So
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more quick one. On the residuals management, I know that always creates some real challenges. In the timeline of things, when do you start dealing with that? I mean, out of this report, we'll pretty much know what the discharge is going to be. I mean, do towns usually deal with that right away, so they have that already permitted and ready to go before you even would build it? I mean, I would sure feel more comfortable if I knew we could get rid of the stuff before we built the plant, you know?
So you're talking about the solids, the residuals management. So it's again, very good question. Typically you're going to be, so once you start the design process, and the design process, if it occurs in the time frame that we're going right now, that'll probably be in a couple of years, would be my guess. And that'll be part of the process when you're going through the design, working with CDPHE, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. And that's when that process will begin, so that when you do come online, you will be permitted properly.
Those are just the negatives.
Good things to think of.
Yeah.
I think these are, I'm learning from your questions, so thank you. And then I also think about how many staff, town staff, does it take to run a plant?
We'll be looking at staffing as a part of this study
Okay.
to see who, how, when we'll need everyone.
So can I ask a question?
No.
Yeah.
I'm just, in terms of the parameters of the study and feasibility, is it limited to we're targeting X number of acre feet to treat, or is there economy of scale to scale it up or scale it down? Because as I understand it, we can take direct delivery of CBT through the lower Boulder if we wanted to.
Really?
Feasibly, we'd have to go through some carriage agreements and things, but feasibly, that's a possibility. Feasibly, the NISP line, as it turns and heads out towards those east of us, it's not that much further up the road from us.
Right.
Does this potential study, and I don't want to blow up your whole budget or process, look at what would it take to potentially take some of those other direct deliveries, and is there an aggregate quantity of scale to going a little bigger or a little, if you're already having to have a building and staff, how hard is it to scale up the operation? And is there some feasibility? I don't know what the limits or parameters were.
That was not part of the scope of work to take a look at how we would transport that water to this facility. As far as scaling goes, I'm also unsure of how complicated that is on the engineering side of things.
So what I'm anticipating is the water quality in the lake is going to probably be lower than the water quality coming out of NISP and CBT for sure. So let's say that you figure out a carriage agreement, or even if you take NISP into the future and you decide to connect it into that facility, the treatment plant will have the ability to treat that water. So I think that's answering part of your question. As it relates to the scaling of you're not asking about scaling of the size of the feasibility study, but the scaling of the size of the facility in the future, right?
Right. So
Okay.
I mean, some places you'll have like 2 tracks, and then you have room.
Right, and you have
As-
spares for future.
Right. You can add on to the building and add 2 or 3 more tracks for
Yes.
treatment. As you go
So what we will recommend is that, whether you have those, you have a train here and you have a train here, then you either have the capability of expanding within that building space or adding to the building so that you can incorporate and add treatment capacity. So yes, that is something that, looking at I think you were asking specifically about the acre feet, which is 1,500, I think, right?
Mhm.
Right now, that's what it's focusing upon, but the way that we would lay out the facility is we typically lay out, even in conceptual sites, is saying, okay, if we're going to take it from this at 1,500 to 2,000 to 2,500 to 3,000, we do think about that so that you have that flexibility in the future.
Thank you.
Great. All right.
Is everyone excited to potentially taste bench scale treated Millivec water as a part of
Not
this?
not especially.
As long as the workers' comp is good.
You get it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. We now have a resolution that we have to take care of. Am I correct?
Mhm.
We need some direction on revolving resolution 24R36.
I move that, excuse me, trustee, I move that we approve resolution 24R36, the water treatment feasibility study contract.
Second.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
trustee Padilla,
Yes.
trustee DeValdi,
Yes.
trustee Lamont,
Yes.
trustee March.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you. Thanks, Kylie.
Thank you.
Kevin, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along here. Next one up here is that big call guy. Contract adoption for Colorado Boulevard median landscaping. Colby, whoop it on us, please.
So in my third dress rehearsal this afternoon, I had this down to about an hour. So I'll try to rush through this as quickly as I can. We're here for contract approval tonight for some improvements to the Colorado Boulevard median landscape. Obviously, this is in conjunction with the current closure that's in place out there. So that landscaping, for the most part, was originally installed in 2009. Something like this is usually recommended every 10 to 15 years. And obviously it works really good for us because the whole road is closed south of 5th Street. So it allows us to get in there without an additional road closure. Our scope, quite simple. We're going to go in and tear out most of the low growth plants. Most of that stuff has long since died. It doesn't look very good. We're going to be replacing all the trees that have either died or have already been removed with new street trees. There'll be some ornamentals, some shade trees, different varieties of species throughout the entire thing. We'll be upgrading the fixing the irrigation, making sure the rock mulch is in all good shape, and then going through a few secondary electric systems. Top of this image is Tipple. Bottom of this image is Highway 52. The red lines are the scope of our work. We have a red circle in the middle because we're going to do the 5th Street roundabout in-house. That's relatively easy for us to do with no road closure because the apron around that. That median length is just over a half a mile. It's a really big median. That's by far the largest landscape in town. So it behooves us to hire some help to come in and do some of this contracted labor this summer. Last summer, we put together just a hand-drawn image. This is about 100 feet of what we drew for this median, and we actually bid off of this in a design build. Not super important, but the idea was somebody in the department knows how to draw. This is what the final product is really going to look like. And if you're kind of looking at your screens, basically you're going to see trees, you're going to see a cleaned up bottom. It's going to be nice rock mulch. We'll have the ability in the future if we want to add more art or anything like that in there, but it's just going to be kind of a nice cleaned up image that whole way through. This will complement very well to what Silverstone and King Supers is building in their portion of the median. We issued an RFP for a design build in early May. We got one response back, and we were very lucky on that response because it's a contractor we've used on at least 20 projects since I've been here. We know the guy, we trust the guy pretty implicitly. This was a very cost-effective and efficient manner for us to do this. We budgeted $250,000, and oh look, $249,400. I swear we didn't plan that. I know.
Sure.
So just to kind of give you scope, like that sounds like a lot of money, right? And it really is. So trees now for a 2-inch caliper tree are between $800 and $1,200 a piece. We're replacing like 75 trees. So just that alone, just the tree, let alone the labor to install it, the irrigation, all that other stuff, your materials are incredibly expensive. And the beauty for this, it'll make it way easier for us to maintain. It's aesthetically pleasing, but we figure it'll cut at least $10,000 or $20,000 a year in maintenance.
Good.
That's the action that's in the resolution. And I'll answer any questions you've got, and that's our staff recommendation. See, that was an hour.
Well, some of that's not closed right now, but they're not gonna have to close more.
Yeah, so from 5th Street to Tipple, we'll have a very short closure when they only do the overlay. So we'll try to capture that. Otherwise, there's not that much work to actually be done in that short section of median.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just go over the process for the RFP. How many days is it posted? Do people have a chance to compete for that type of thing?
Yeah, so we had it posted for, I believe the town minimum is 14 days. I think we had it for was 15 or 16.
Okay.
We had it on BidNet. We had it on the town website. We got 2 other interested firms that asked questions. Part of the reason we only got 1 is it's just a really interesting way to do it. Typically, you're going to have a design bid build where you're going to have a landscape architect that wants to go through and design everything, and then somebody that wants to come in and just do the work. I didn't want to spend $100,000 having an LA tell us this is all the stuff we need to do, where I can just go out with the contractor and say, hey, let's move this 5 feet, let's do this here, and kind of plan it as we're going along. So it was a little bit unique in that fact.
Thank you.
Appreciate that fact.
All right, does anyone else have any questions or comments for Colby? All right, if not, I need some direction, or we need some direction for Resolution 24R38.
Trustee March, I move to adopt Resolution 24R38 as presented by town staff.
Second?
Trustee DeVelli?
Yes.
Trustee March?
Yes.
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Trustee Lamont?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Don't let those trees die, please.
Thanks, Colby. All right. Moving right along here, we're done with our action agenda. We're going to move to our mayor and trustee reports, please. Anybody got anything?
I have a question.
Shoot.
Have we been in communication with our local friendly paragliders about Frederick and Flight, and do we have anything that we can do to keep them away? Because they were pests last year.
Yeah, Trustee Mayhem, we'll work with the PD. I know we worked with them last year, and we'll work with the landowner, but we'll ensure that that's taken care of.
Nobody has anything?
Trustee March, if I could, just a quick reminder for our meeting on the 25th of June. We're going to start at 5:30. We'll have dinner here. We have 2 study sessions before a regular meeting. The first one is going to be probably a quick update on the Parks and Open Space 2050 plan, which plays into FRA. And then the other piece, and we'll have information that comes out to you before this meeting, will be an update on the water rate study, which will be important as we get into budget season. So we'll have some good information on that.
Great.
Did we see
And
an
five
email that
is-
FURA was going to be that night?
That's
Yes.
That's at 5.
So the FURA is at
Hero
5?
will be at 5.
Okay.
And that's just
Ooh.
it's a quick update.
So Pura will be at 5. Okay.
And Trustee March, I had a question for the board as well. Just as you know, we had our judge retire from the town. We had put that out and received a few responses. So we have interviews scheduled. I know when we had originally talked about this, we had March and Mayor Pro Tem Brown expressed an interest in being a part of those interviews, given the timing and availability of the candidates. And I haven't been able to touch base with Mayor Pro Tem Brown. I believe he's out of town. And so at this point, I have Trustee Lamont has been willing to step in. I know Trustee March is no longer available, or isn't available on Monday when we have some of these things slated. So I'm looking to see if there's anybody who might have an interest and availability Monday the 17th to participate in 3 interviews from 11:30 to about 2.
Sorry that I have to say that I cannot do it because, painfully, I have to go fishing in Montana.
Oh, you poor boy. Oh, gee.
It really sucks. I apologize.
Yeah, I know.
So
You got to make sacrifices.
Options, if you all feel comfortable having just a trustee, if nobody else is available, and I'll continue to try to get a hold of Trustee Brown. If you're comfortable with moving forward in that regard, that's totally fine. If you'd like us to try to move the interviews, it would likely have to be sometime mid-July before we can get everybody scheduled again.
I'm all for getting it done with whoever can be there.
And this will be the initial review, and then they'll come back to the board at a future board meeting for the entire board to have an interview process with whomever those finalists will be.
Will there be some interviews?
I might be able to.
Okay.
And for our trustee report, we can talk about our interviews with boards and commissions. And so Chad and I were on those, and thank you, Emily and Tricia, for organizing those. But we got a lot of interest in our committees and commissions, and it was just really cool to hear how many people want to spend their free time for free, helping the town. So I think those appointments will be June 25th as well, right?
I mean, the background and experience these people.
Isn't it humbling sometimes? It's like,
It
people
is.
would be like, oh my gosh.
Amazing.
You're way overqualified. Are you sure you know what you're doing here? You know?
It's great.
Excited to hear about those.
And then for the tour and talk on Wednesday, I won't be able to make it, which I apologize for because I wasn't able to make the last one either one, the one on the 19th.
I don't want to repeat my really fun trip I have planned, but I won't be there either.
Right, fishing in Canada, right?
Montana.
Good spot.
Is the town open on the 19th? Still?
19th.
Juneteenth?
Juneteenth.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. I had a couple little small things. I had the opportunity to go with Jessica, and we attended a Carbon Valley Chamber of Commerce situation where they had a lot of government agencies, aid agencies, and some vendors and so forth that was there. And I thought that it was really a good way to get to know what's in these, what it's supposed to be Firestone, us, and Dacono. I don't believe I saw anyone from Dacono, but I did see some, obviously from Firestone, since it was in Firestone, and then some from Frederick too. So I think they may try to do it. This is going to be a yearly thing, so it was really worth it. I got a chance to speak with some agencies that exist out there to help people that I wasn't aware of. So it was really great. And one other thing, I sit on the historic committee, and we're moving to try to get that more involved and get more things for our historic committee and try to do something. Our ultimate goal is actually trying to fix up our old town hall and bring it around where it looks decent and it's much better than what it is now, among other things that we want to try to do. And they're going to be at the tour and talk events. All of the rest of them, we'll have some people there from the historic committee. So it's really great. I get the chance to work on this with Allie, and she's a blast to work with anyway. So it's if you get a chance to talk to someone about the history of Frederick and find out if you run across somebody that's like third or fourth generation. I sure would like for us to be able to talk to them, because one of the things we like to do is we're going to try to put together something based off of what the people, their roots for this area. There's a lot more families than what I realized that have deep roots that go all the way back to the coal mining days. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention it. It's we got 4 more tour and talks, so they're a valuable tool for us. So anyway, that's all I have. Anybody have anything else? Nothing?
Nothing.
Well, then, in that case, I now officially adjourn this meeting for tonight. Thank you all for being here.